Welcome to Ceph Office tutorial videos. In this video, I will show you how to use the new Forms feature that we added in the Ceph Office 4.1 update. If you click on the Ceph Office menu and go to Preferences and Setup, you will have a new Forms section. If you don't have this section, then you haven't installed the latest update available. Now, by default, you will not have the ability to edit these forms. No staff member will. This is a new feature. And we will also give you a default form to start with. So we included this form automatically. This form will just pop up. If you don't see it to begin with, just wait a moment, it'll be there. I see a little typo in the description. We put 3 F's for office here. So let's go fix this. But to do so, we need the ability, the staff privilege to do so. So you may need the doctor or the office manager to give you this privilege. In this case, I'm going to go into the staff section, select myself, go to change access privileges, and give myself the ability to create and edit fillable forms. Check it on. Now I can go back to forms and I can fix that little typo. Okay, so now this is the starting point. We gave you a patient medical history form, and this is a special group. This is the patient medical history. Do not change this group name because this is used elsewhere in the program. Now, other forms that you add, feel free to change them how you wish, of course, unless you're trying to make a new patient medical history form. This is based off the AAO default form. I'm going to make a new form here to show you how some of this, how building a form works. It's a bit easier with a new form. So all I did was hit new. I have this new patient form entered with these basic details. We'll call it our demo form. Just give it an example to start with. Okay, doesn't really even need to be there. Okay, here are the different items the form can be. And it only started with 2. There's a section header and 1 open-ended question. That section header, this could be like patient info. And then this first question, we'll say this is your full name. And we have a little bit of a tip that can go with the question. You don't need tips, but in this case, we want them to enter their full name as last, comma, first. Okay. And then there's some basic validation and whether this is required or not. We'll make this a required field so they can't pass it. If they do try to pass it without entering it, it'll notify that they missed it. It'll let them know. So now let's add a new question. That's what a form is. A form is a whole bunch of questions. And so here's all the different questions you can add to the form. We have multiple choice radio, multiple choice select, and multiple mark checkbox. Those are all ways you can choose from multiple choices, but they all work slightly differently depending on your needs. And then these open-ended are for the whoever's in front of the form to just type it out. For example, the number 1 won't let them save any letters. It has to be numbers. And then there's your section headers to separate the sections. This one is a preamble. This is just, it's kind of like the tips, but it's just the entry that's a big tip. There's some preamble in that medical dental history form I can show you. But I want to show you these multiple choices because those are the ones to understand here. So we have a new multiple choice radio. We'll add a multiple choice select. And we'll add a multiple choice checkbox. Okay, so let's edit this multiple choice radio. This is when you have multiple choices and you're only going to choose one. So this would be a good example of like a title. So it could be, say, Mr. Ms. or we'll do doctor and we'll do reverend. Okay, so there's titles and you'd only choose one of them. So then this one is a drop down multiple choice select. So this would give you a drop down list. Maybe in this example, this could be gender. We'll do female, we do male, and then we'll say, we'll just give an example of, say, other. And then there's multiple mark checkbox. This is where you could have more than one choice, a multiple choice list, but you might check more than one. So for example, this first one, maybe this is, how did you hear about our office? Maybe this is from a friend or from a current patient. I guess that's similar to friend. Maybe Facebook, maybe Google search, maybe billboard. Okay. And then these are just for default choice. Like if you wanted friend to be the default choice, you could put that on there and then it would start with friend already chosen. But I can't imagine too often you'd have a default choice unless it was, maybe like a state or country or something like that. Now that we have this little example demo form, we could see what it looks like real quickly without having to go add the real form to a patient account. So there's a little preview button right here. If we click this preview button, it's going to open this form that we're working on in your browser of choice. In my case, this is just Safari. These forms are really based on HTML, so it uses that as a quick way to view it. So you can see I only have that one section of patient info, which we're already in. There's the required question, it's in red, so it wants last first. It could be Bach Kai, something like that. Here's the multiple choice radio. You can see it's a choice of one. And if they accidentally select it and then don't want it, if they select it again, it will go away. Here's the multiple choice select. It's a drop-down choice, you can see. Female, male, other. This one's really handy, especially if there's a big long list, because you get the drop down. And then new multiple mark checkbox. This is the checkbox where it can be more than one choice. Maybe I heard from a friend and saw your billboard. And this was just an example preview. It does leave an HTML file on your desktop. So if you do preview a few of these, you'll see an HTML files on your desktop that you can just throw away. If we wanted to add another, let's say, new item, another section, another header, this could be, say, insurance info. Now I have a new header. And now if I preview it, there's my insurance info header. I can jump there. I have nothing in it. Here's the medical dental history form. Let's preview this one. You can see this one's much more substantial. Last name's required, first name's required. Look at all these fields. So here's medical history. Here's patient health information. There's that little bit of preamble text. Big form to utilize. Now, all these forms, when you first add them, they are inactive and unlocked, so you can edit them. Let's say I'm done with these forms and now I want to start adding them to patients. Before I can add them to a patient, I need to change the status and make it active, which will automatically lock the form so we can't edit it. So I'm going to change the status. And this is telling you about this, but what's really important is this bit of information. Once a form has been published and used, its content should be considered frozen. If changes must be made to the form in the future, a new version of the form should be created and to receive the changes. What this is stating is, let's say I've activated this form. I'll go ahead and activate this other form too. They're both active and locked and ready to use now. So if I start to use this medical dental history form and a bunch of patients fill it out, and let's say it's 6 months later and I decide I want to make some substantial changes to this form, I do not want to go right into this form, unlock it, and make substantial changes to this form right here, because a bunch of patients have already added this form, its historical information. The way it was is historical information. And the forms linked from the patient accounts are linked to this form here. If you had a small change like a typo, go ahead and do that, because then that will fix the history of the forms. If you go to edit them, it will fix that typo or whatnot. If you don't edit them, they're locked. But if you do edit those historical forms, that will then link to this form here. So the idea is if you're going to do a substantial change, you want to clone this form and make a new copy of this form with like a new version to be using that form going forward. And then this old copy of this form, you could just leave it locked in there, or make a note in the notes that it's not in use anymore, or you can even make it inactive. That's fine, but you just don't want to delete it. Well, you can't delete it because it's attached to other people, and you don't want to make major edits to this form here. Clone it and make major edits to the clone. That about covers the basics of editing the forms in this form section. There, of course, is more to it, but that will get you started to play with this form section, and you can add some forms, and if you have any questions, please let us know. There will be another video right on the website on how to add these forms to patient accounts and fill these forms out in patient accounts. All right, thank you. Take care.